would you prefer a minority or majority government?
Majorities tend to get things done a little bit more expediently, but I do believe that a minority has a little bit more power in terms of bringing up issues that may be overlooked. So I prefer a majority insofar as it is a majority as decided by the popular vote.
I think a minority government's probably better, just because, like, personally, I don't think any of the parties are really capable of leading this country, to be honest, given their leadership and their positions right now. So I think, like, it's not ideal, but I think a minority government it's more balanced and, like, more, for example, like, I believe the NDP got the Liberals to make some concessions on healthcare. So I think, like, it better represents the opinions of all Canadians rather than just, like, one party. So I think a minority government's good.
That's a tough one. I feel like as long as the end goal is to benefit Canadians, I think it's, it shouldn't be about who has more, who has less. It's about who has a better vision for the Canadian people, the citizens, and what's going to make us all, strive to be like a better us.
I really don't care as long as they're doing good for the people and other people in the world. Like, I get tired of all their sayings that they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and I don't know. I've followed politics since I was 16 years old, and they all promise a lot, but when they get in the chair, whoever's elected, they seem to, move away from that subject they were asked 6 months before becoming Prime Minister.
I would prefer a majority government. Why? Because a minority government, they're always straddling in the middle. Like, they can decide whatever they think they want to do, but it's not necessarily going to happen unless they have, more support in Parliament. So it becomes an unstable government, in my opinion, when you have a minority government.
It just depends on who's in power. But I think a minority provides a good opportunity to get things done and to have different opinions come to the surface. So I'm pretty happy with the way things are going with minority, yeah.
Well, federally, I would prefer a minority government, and because I'm really impressed with how the Liberals and the New Democrats are working together and focusing on real issues that matter to people.
It's healthy to have an opposition, but I think it's also healthy to have a government that has the power to implement the ideas that were voted in for.
I definitely prefer a majority government. I understand why people like a minority government in terms of a balance of power, but to actually make decisions and get things done, I think we need a majority government to get things passed and for this country to continue to move forward.
I'm sort of on the fence about both. I see the sides of both. Like, majority may push it through to get more things done, more decisions made, but that might not be my personal decision or the decision of others. So I'm on the fence of whether I would prefer minority or majority.
I personally think a minority is good because it kind of keeps things in check. It doesn't give any one government too much power. I think sometimes I probably think a majority would be good if it was maybe the NDP or something, but right now I think a minority government's what we need.
I mean, I think right now it's kind of a moot point with the new government because it's essentially a majority now for 3 years because the NDP have agreed to go along with what the Liberals want for 3 years. In general, I prefer majority governments because minorities are hamstrung. They can't do anything.
I think more things get done under a majority government, and that's where we see more drastic changes in how things are run, and changes made tend to stick around longer than changes that don't get made.
Well, I kind of like the idea of a minority government because it keeps everybody more on their toes. Being a majority, you take things for granted. You can take the mandate for granted. You can take for granted that since I was elected to do such and such, I have carte blanche to do that much more. I think a minority government is excellent. I think it can be very productive and it can keep the government in check.
That's a good question. I really think I'm not as far as I'm concerned, even if it's a minority government, and if there are, other partners who can nudge them into the right direction, I'm quite okay with that. Although I would like, because sometimes when there's an absolute majority for a party, that can be bad as well, because they will just take their party line and just serve a particular class of people. So I'm not that much against having a minority government with maybe one party or the other supporting them on particular issues, as long as they're going in the right direction, particularly for economy and particularly, for young people in terms of helping them.
I think for me personally, being an educator in this province for over 30 years, it's about the public good. And that's what we instill in our students, is really thinking about the public good. What is good for everyone, not just for one specific group of people, but something that's going to benefit all of us here